Hello, everyone. Welcome. We have people jumping in at a large rate. It's good to see you guys. Hi. Feel free to say hello in the chat on the right-hand side. Let us know where you are. Hi, Sherry. We have a lot of folks from the US, but I've seen people from all over the world. Hello, everyone. Ooh, Washington, D.C., Germany, hi. I'm actually in the Netherlands, so we're not far from each other. Hello, everyone. Oh my goodness. So good to see you guys. California, Texas, Montreal, New Zealand. What time is it for you? Hello, thanks for joining. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so guys, we have just 45 minutes today, so I really want to make the most of your time. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. So first of all, I'll introduce myself. For those of you that I have not met yet, my name is Lizzie. I am AFPA's Community and Social Media Manager. So I'm really excited to have you guys here today, and I cannot wait to introduce you to our amazing grads. But before I do that, just a couple of quick housekeeping items. So the first thing to note is that, yes, this will be recorded and there will be a replay available. So you guys will get emailed a link after this webinar and you can watch it in your own time, take notes, whatever it is you want to do. Or I know it's kind of in the middle of the day for the US, so if you need to go back to work or something like that, it will be available for you. Also, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We are going to take about 10 minutes at the end to ask questions. So just be sure to do that along the way. And that's really all I have for housekeeping. So let's go ahead and dive in. So first, I'm just going to give a brief intro on AFPA because there's over 1,000 of you that have signed up for this, which is awesome. Many of you are grads and students, so you probably already know, but just in case there's some of you that are new to AFPA here, if you're having trouble with sound, okay, that's Melissa. Oh, and Melissa is our, oh, no sound. Guys, let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Panelists? Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, good. This always happens, I feel like, in webinars. Is it really a webinar if you don't check in on the sound? AFPA. So for those of you that maybe are not familiar with us, we've been around for 27 years now, since 1994. And we provide accredited certifications in holistic nutrition, health, fitness, and basically all of our programs are self-study and self-paced. So you can really fit our programs around your own lifestyle. And many of our programs can be done in 6 months or less. So if you're interested in becoming a holistic nutritionist, a personal trainer, a health coach, I mean, we have about 30 certifications. Definitely check us out. And if you ever have questions, I'm the person behind Instagram. You can always say hello to me on Instagram, or any of our amazing customer service people are always willing to help on our website. So that's the quick spiel about AFPA. But for today, we're really excited to have you guys chat with some of our accomplished grads. So for this grad panel, we basically have been hearing from a lot of you that you are either a student or you're a grad and you're ready to really get started on building a career in nutrition, fitness, and health. But maybe you have some questions about how it actually happens. And so from what I'm understanding from you guys is that really the best way to do this is just hear it from grads themselves. And so that's what we want to start doing more of. And this is kind of our first kind of iteration of this. So thank you to all of you that have submitted questions. You've all submitted some really, really great questions. Due to time constraints today, we're not going to be able to get to all of them, but please know that because we have them all in like a file, that we are going to be utilizing your questions for future content in 2022. So be sure to stay tuned with us on Instagram, on our email list. That's where you'll hear a lot of these types of initiatives getting launched. But for today, the questions that we chose, I really chose them to highlight the strengths of our grads that we're featuring today. They all have really amazing ways that they utilize their certifications, and I really can't wait for you to hear more. So enough of me chatting, let's hand it over to our grads. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start with a question, but for our graduates, if you guys, before you answer this question, if you can just introduce yourself, tell everyone here about you, let us know your certification and kind of the way that you've used your certification. And then let's dive in directly into the first question, which is gonna be about the structure of your packages or your service offering. So go ahead and introduce yourself and then tell us a bit about how you've taken the knowledge from your certification and kind of packaged it up in a way that really serves your clients. And so for this first question, we'll start with you, Dr. Beth, because I know you have a 6-month coaching program. We just talked about it about a month ago on Instagram. So why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here. So as Lizzie said, my name is Dr. Beth Thomas. I have 2 AFPA certifications. I am an AFPA certified weight management specialist, and I also have my AFPA certification as a nutrition and wellness consultant. And in addition to that, in my other life, I'm also a licensed pharmacist. So kind of coming from different angles there. So I specialize in helping busy women with 30 plus pounds to lose to permanently transform their lives using the power of food, help them to get consistent. So I have 2 major programs. My signature coaching program is my 6-month program called the BNT Breakthrough. That's the one that's kind of my baby, as it were. And as far as how it's structured, really took, and I did want to say this too, just to encourage you guys here, the grads and grads to be, this did not come about overnight. So please don't, please, as I say this, please just recognize that this took lots of trial and error and just lots of work, really just trying different things. So I just want to encourage you guys, all the grads out there, please know that you will likely not, just come out with your certification knowing everything, right? Like it does take time, and please just give yourself grace. So my program and my signature 6-month program has 5 phases. And they're all designed to work people, especially the women that I work with, work them towards putting consistent, permanent habits in place. One thing that I noticed, like as I was going through my certification and just observing things around me, and also my own, weight loss journey, is that consistency tends to be most people's problem when it comes to weight loss and permanent transformation. And so really thinking about that and thinking about like what stops people from being consistent, right? Like, so a lot of times it's, well, my family doesn't eat like I do, or this meal plan is too complicated, or, I eat out a lot. And so, I can't always stick to this one thing. So I really, again, through trial and error, tried to structure my program in a way that addressed all of those kind of pain points. So the first phase of my program really focuses on helping my clients to really discover their why, right? Like why they want to do this, because it's not enough for them to say, I just want to fit into my clothes, right? Like there has to be something deeper there. The second phase of my program really helps them to get the basics, the foundational things about nutrition and what actually is going to help them move forward and get to their weight loss goals. So we cover things like water intake, quality of food, quantity of food, and sodium intake. That really helps them to get the basics down. Then the third phase is what I call investigation. And that's where we kind of dig into things, because what I've noticed is that a lot of people are not really conscious of what they're eating. So I really start them, they have kind of a warped view of, how much they eat and, how that really affects things. So in that phase, I help them start getting into tracking one step at a time so that they become more mindful of what they're putting in their mouths. Then we move on to the fourth phase, which is called application. And that's where we really start tweaking things, right? We really start looking at, okay, what are you going to do when you go out to eat at a restaurant? What are you going to do when you go on vacation? What are you going to do whenever, your family wants to go eat at this, this place, but you feel like you're on a diet, right? Like we look at all of those things. And then the last phase is called celebration. And that's where we really work on putting together what I call a relapse prevention plan. Because we have to make sure that, once you get out of the program, that you still, can go on and keep and maintain the weight loss. So that kind of sums up my 6-month program. And I really structured it in a way to, make it the minimum amount of time that people need to put permanent habits in place. And 6 months is kind of the time that I found that, that really is sufficient for that. So that's kind of like my signature program. And then I also have a 28-day program, which is just like a sort of a jump start, just to help people who aren't quite ready to commit to the full 6 months.
Yeah, I feel like that's typically a great strategy, is to have, if you're going to have a bigger program like that, have something a little bit smaller for people that maybe aren't quite ready to commit. And a lot of times, I don't know if you've seen this in your business, but we tend to see that if a client commits to the smaller route, then eventually they might be ready to kind of go into the bigger program and feel a little bit more confident. So that's just a tip for you guys when you are crafting your packages, is try to come up with a few different tiers, so you can meet different people where they are. So usually something smaller and then something bigger, and then you can have something kind of in between, right? So that was really helpful. I also just want to reiterate what Dr. Beth said for you guys, that this is not going to happen overnight. Quick question for you, Dr. Beth, before I move on to Corey, is how long did it take you to kind of figure this out, figure this program out that really works in this systematic way? How long did it take you to kind of get to that point? And was it some trial and error and working one-on-one with clients? Like, can you give us a little bit of a timetable on that?
I would say overall, like, quantifying it, this was like a 4 to 5 year process, like of trial and error. Now,
Right.
I really dug in on this probably in the past like year and a half. But this was like getting feedback from my clients. I started off working one-on-one with people. And I think that's as you said, that's something to really keep in mind, because when you work one-on-one with people, you're really able to dig into what they're actually having issues with. And that then will allow you to scale to serving larger groups. So
Right.
that's one thing to keep in mind, grads, is like, as you're, when you're starting off, it may seem like, oh, I don't have enough clients, but really use that to your advantage, because you can use them to get some really valuable feedback, right? Like, and that's what I did. It was feedback over the course of that like 4 to 5 years. And then this last year and a half, it was like, okay, I think I got this. Like, at what point, and kind of looking at, what people were actually struggling with. So really, I think that's something to keep in mind, is like, as you're building stuff out, really talk to your clients, find out what it is that they need. Don't just build out a program because that's what you think they need. Like, ask, and don't be afraid to ask them. I know that can be hard. It's hard for me, but ask, like, does this work for you? What, how can I support you better? That kind of thing.
That's beautiful, brilliant. And that's like a great rule of really building anything, products, services. Always try to understand what your client, your market needs before going out and building it, right? So thank you for sharing that insight with us. So next, let's go over to Corey. So Corey Wallace, why don't you first introduce yourself to us, and then give us a little bit of background into the ways that you've integrated your holistic nutrition certification, because you've definitely found a niche for yourself. And then, if you can kind of go into the question as well in terms of your service offerings and how you serve your clients and how you got to that point.
Gotcha. Hi, I'm Corey. I'm super happy to be here. It's kind of gloomy outside today, so let's, we'll just deal with that. I'll bring all the light to here. So as you've heard, I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and running coach. I help runners meet their goals and fuel properly for their runs. And also, I just want to make everybody enjoy being active and learning more about being plant-based. Because myself, I've been plant-based for almost 7 years, and I've been running for about over 20 years. So I have a little bit of experience in that and plant-based eating as well. So I feel like that kind of comes in hand when I got my certification, both in nutrition and for running coaching. Unlike a lot of you, at first I didn't know where to start. Like, should I offer one-on-one coaching, group coaching, 5 packages, 2 packages, 1 master one? I had no idea where to start. And after overthinking it millions and millions of times, I thought, why not start small? So I decided on one-on-one coaching. That'd be the best way to go. Just because my main focus would be on just one person at a time. I think I can always build onto that in the future if I needed to, especially for run coaching, because I think that I work well with groups when running rather than nutrition, because you can focus on like just one person nutrition and a larger group for running. So like I said, that's not to say that I won't offer that in the future, but for right now, that's where I stand. When it comes to services that I offer, I wanted to keep running and nutrition separate, just because I feel like I like the opportunity to have just one section and then another and then just one combo one. I don't want to just kind of funnel into just one running and nutrition program. It's just something I kind of like doing, because I like people have the option to choose either one as all fit, because not everybody wants to run and not everybody wants to eat healthy, which sounds horrible, but not everybody wants to be like, let's eat healthy. They just want to just go and eat whatever they want to eat, which is totally fine. So when I had those different plans or programs figured out, like those 3, nutrition, running, and run coaching, and the combination of the 2, I wanted to actually develop something that's actually just singular. Someone who actually just wanted to actually get into just plant-based eating in general. It's really just a basic or a generic program, because I think that a lot of people just kind of want to get into it a little bit, but they don't necessarily need the meal plans. They don't need structure. They're just like, listen, what can I eat? What can I do? And then that's it, which is like, I think that's a lot of people like that. But I mean, I like to get the in-depth vibe really for people. That's why I offer the in-depth nutrition one and run coaching. That's all one together one. So, but I mean, that's pretty much my programs. I think that the best thing for anybody that's graduating or anyone else that's actually listening, always find your niche. It's always good to do that, because the thing is that if you don't narrow that down, you really can't help your clients at all. And I think that you kind of start to confuse other people at the same time period. If you're kind of like bouncing around back and forth, you're like, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do this. I think it's important to actually have just one particular niche, like narrow down. Like for me, it's plant-based running. And I think that like I can help. Honestly, I feel like I can help everybody, but that's not really that's not what I'd rather have a specific group of people that I would actually work with rather than just everyone. And I think that's the most important thing.
Right. I think that helps with messaging as well, right? And crafting your packages, like you said. It's a lot harder to craft your package if you don't have an ideal client or niche in mind. Yeah. Looking at Dr. Beth's packages and your packages, what you guys are both talking about, it would be impossible for you to really define these packages if you didn't have that first.
Right. I feel like it's actually great to have I originally started off with just a 3-month package, and I feel like that was kind of like just guns blazing. I'm like, 3 months, this would be great. But I actually realized that it's not really the way to go, because not everybody wants to commit to a full 3 months.
Sure.
So I kind of backed it. I wanted to go back to being small and did 1 week, and I did 4 weeks also, which is a month. And then if somebody actually wanted to continue after that, they can just tack on another 4 weeks if they wanted to. I think it's like for me, which has worked out pretty well for the most part. I think the 4-week time frame is actually helpful, because it gives me just enough information to actually help them to move forward. And if they actually wanted to move on from there, or if they wanted to just do their own thing, they can at least still opt out after that if they wanted to. So at least I give them that option to do that.
That's great. So that's super helpful. So you have the 1 week option, 1 month, and then after the month, on a case-by-case basis, if they want to continue with you, they can.
Correct.
You don't really like advertise any more than 1 month, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, because I think is I don't want to like, I also don't want to scare anybody off first.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, hey, just, you know, for the whole year, let's just book the whole thing. Like, oh, it's a little.
Yeah, that's great. And again, like to bring it back home is that between Dr. Beth and Corey, who we've just chatted with, is both of them have very different structures with their packages, but they got to that through trial and error and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So don't be afraid to just dive in and try things, and always continually ask your clients what is helpful, what do they need, and then over time you will it will get clearer in terms of how you should structure your business and your packages.
A lot of trial and error.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Corey. Okay, Lauren, let's hand it over to you. So please introduce yourself. I know you're a holistic nutritionist, AFPA certified, also a health coach, but you have a lot of other things going on as well. So please introduce yourself, and then why don't you talk more about your business structure, because you have a little bit of a different thing going on. But I'm also curious if you're still offering your packages as well, or if you've honed in on Lux. So why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Okay. Hi, my name's Lauren Rasky. I am certified as a holistic nutritionist, a holistic health coach with AFPA. And then my background started in group fitness. So I've been teaching group fitness classes for about 16 years now, since college. So I originally started with another organization, and then after I got into AFPA, I moved my group fitness certification over to here as well, because I love their programs. So a little bit of everything with them, but I always kind of did the group fitness and like the health coaching on the side while I worked full time. And then after I had my second baby, I have a 2 and 4 year old, I decided to leave my full-time job and have this be my main focus. So yeah. And it's crazy. In the beginning, whenever I got so I taught fitness classes, and then I had my nutrition stuff separate. I started actually with a small, like $50 plant-based program, because I am plant-based as well. And when I kept it separate, I feel like I kind of was always trying to figure out how to navigate like between the two, like not personalities, but like focuses. And when I kind of just went with what is comfortable and what I was always kind of known for, because since I've been doing group fitness forever, it kind of went more naturally. So my main focus is, it starts with group fitness. So I have a business called Lux Fitness Studio. We started as in-person classes in like a rented space. I think we started with like just 30 people. And 2020 had a shift more to virtual, like live stream and on-demand classes. And then we do our in-person stuff is like pop-up style. So we'll do it like outdoor or at a rented space. So people sign up, I think their initial draw is fitness, but they end up, we incorporate a lot of like the health coaching and nutrition stuff into what we do as well. And I think that's actually a reason why people stay on longer with us, because they're getting more than just a workout. So mine is different. I actually work with groups. I'm pretty limited in the amount of time that I have to work with people right now. So it's hard for me to do an hour one-on-one with somebody. It's easier to do like a group. So when people join with us, it's just $40 for their first challenge. It's a month-long challenge. We do themed ones like every month that kind of goes with like whatever month it is. They do the challenge with us, and then after that they have the option to do like $20 a month membership, and they get access to like all of the same stuff and our library, and then all the new stuff that we do.
That's awesome. So you're building out a robust membership, which is a totally like amazing model, and something that maybe we should dive more into in future like grad panels, because I think that I have seen our grads have questions about that in terms of what are the different ways I can monetize my business that's not just one-on-one, because I've been hearing from a lot of our grads that the time constraint is a thing, especially for moms with kids at home. So that's really awesome that you've been able to blend the two. That's really cool. Okay, well, thank you. That was perfect. So, all right, guys, let's move on. I'm just going to check our time. Yeah, okay. So, all right, I love this question. This is just, I'm going to go ahead and say it. What is the one thing that moved the needle in you getting clients in your practice? I love this question. I don't have the name of who submitted it, but thank you to whoever did. So Corey, let's start with you. What is the one thing that you feel like moved the needle? Because really quickly, with our graduates, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, when you're first getting started, it's so overwhelming and that you have the tendency to want to do all of the things. And I'm constantly talking to our grads kind of out of that mindset when they're first graduating, because I feel like if you're trying to spread yourself thin over a lot of different things, it's much harder to move the needle. So we try to talk about focusing on the things that are going to move the business forward. So that's kind of the behind the question of this and the why. So to get you guys thinking about it. So Corey, why don't you start with this one?
Like finding your niche is definitely the most important thing. Know that we live in a digital world now, and everything is online. So I feel like for me, social media had a huge impact. I mean, I started my business during the pandemic, so it's kind of like I didn't have the chance to actually go out and meet people or go to certain gyms or certain places to actually like, hey, listen, this is my business, this is what I do. So everything became online for me. So, which I feel like I've become more used to that now, which is great. I mean, I feel like online social media, I think that's growing, which is good for a lot of people, but some people are kind of still stuck in like just doing I'm going to go to this location and just pass out flyers, which that totally works too. I mean, I would love to do that right now, but I feel like I said I'm more geared towards social media, and a lot of I feel like a lot of these services that go into certain places, it's not really common practice, especially now, just because a lot of people are just like, ooh, like I don't want to be near people or I don't want to do this or do that, which is it makes sense. I totally get it. So I had to adapt. I think that's one thing that a lot of people need to start doing is being able to adapt to these certain situations. As I think that's the most important thing, because if you don't adapt, then you kind of end up I feel like you fall by the wayside a little bit. Which is like, there's nothing wrong with you as a person. It's just one of those things. I think that a lot of people they just can't move forward with that because they don't know how to they don't have an online presence at all. And that's one thing that I kind of, like myself, I kind of broke out of. I did not like want to be on social media at all. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And now I'm creating reels.
You're killing it
every day, which is great. I feel like that's like, I think social media is really what moved the needle in my direction, in the right direction for me getting clients, just because I think that social media is like, that's just what the thing is now.
Yes.
Like for me, that's working for me, I should say.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't have to be for everyone, but just so you guys know, Corey, be sure, all of our grads here, Dr. Beth, Lauren, Corey, they're all tagged in our promotional material for this webinar. So be sure to follow them all. And Corey, you will see he's totally just gone like full in on Reels. And I think what makes your Reels so successful is exactly what we were just talking about. You figured out the person you're talking to. So like when you create your Reels, it's so clear that you are talking to that one client that is your ideal client.
Right.
And that is the key, I think, to a lot of accounts that take off, as opposed to accounts that are kind of all over the place. So kudos to you. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I know a lot of our grads and students have lots of questions about social media as well, but that's a good place to start. So thank you. Okay, Dr. Beth, why don't you go ahead and chime in about the one thing that you feel like started to really move the needle in your business?
Yeah, so I'd have to say it was mastering my messaging. And that kind of goes along with what Corey said and what you were just saying. And when I say master my messaging, I mean mastering the messaging about what I did, like about my method and my process, and also mastering the messaging about who I helped the best. And that kind of goes along with what Corey said as well. When I really saw a huge shift was when I started speaking confidently. And that took, again, this did not come overnight. I always have to keep saying that. Like when I nailed down my method, like once I got the system that I just described to you guys, once I got that system down and I was able to like nail down, okay, my process. And, everybody has a process, guys. Like all you guys listening, you have a process. You just haven't sat and just written it out. And that takes some time because you don't necessarily see it at first. But once I got really clear, and I had a business coach, so that's my disclaimer. Once I got really clear on that, on my method and my system, and that gave me so much more confidence to start speaking about it. Because before I was kind of like, well, I help and I do, it's just kind of like, what do I do, but once I got clear and it's like, okay, no, this is my program. In phase 1, we do this. In phase 2, we do this. In phase 3, we do this. And that gives you confidence when you know that you have a system that gets results, right? Like that. And so that was a big part of it. And then mastering the part about storytelling, that was the big part. I didn't realize how important that was. You and Lizzie, you and I have talked in our last live about, how I went through my own weight loss journey, right? But I wasn't necessarily comfortable talking about that when I first started. I really wasn't. And I'm like Corey, I wasn't really into social media. It's taken me, I'm there kind of, I kind of went in kicking and screaming a little bit. And now I'm more comfortable with it. But once I really started telling my story and mastering the art of storytelling of my clients, right? With their permission, of course. But it's like my business coach told me, copywriting, write copy. So it's like, once I start, I'm like, okay, what are my clients saying? That's what I need to write on social media and everywhere. That's my message. And when she said that, it was like, that's so simple, but why didn't I think of that before? So that really shifted it. Seriously shifted it. And the interesting thing is that like I had clients come in like last year and they told me that was confirmation. Like one of my clients was like, your messaging is, and it's like, wow. And one of my clients actually asked me who my business coach was. So it's like, okay, something's working so it's like, but that really was key, mastering the art of messaging. So goes along with what you two were just saying.
Absolutely. And quick question. So did you hire a copywriter or did your business coach also help you with the copy? Because copy, I want everyone to know that like, personally for me, I have a hard time writing my own copy in my business. Like it can be really hard to figure out a way to craft that messaging. So don't be afraid to invest in things. So I just, out of curiosity, did you hire a copywriter and a coach or did the coach help you with the copy?
So my coach is a master at messaging.
There you go.
That's her specialty. So she taught me that. I did not hire a copywriter. And I want to tell you, like, full transparency, when I first started posting, it would take me, and I look at it now, it would take me hours to write one post. And that's no joke. Just being honest. So guys, give yourself grace. Like it would literally take me hours because I just didn't know how to organize things. So my coach really helped me with that, like getting kind of those core pieces, like start here, and just really giving me a formula. So yeah, but my coach helped me with that, and I did not hire a copywriter.
Okay, that's great to know. Yeah, that's definitely, I would say, if you're starting out and you have the funds to invest in some things, copywriting and messaging and figuring out your niche, highly recommend investing in that for your business because it can really help things take off. Okay, great. So Lauren, why don't we go with you? What do you feel like was kind of the one thing that really started moving the needle in your business?
I would say when I kind of focused on one thing. So my brand, I guess you would say, is Lux Fitness Studio. I've never been a person who really likes to be like the center of like I like teaching classes, but I make it about the workout, and I'm kind of like one of those people that's a little bit shy. So things took off when I kind of shifted and I started an account outside of like my personal account and made it a brand. So I didn't have to be the face of it anymore. And I think that helped it grow faster too, because people weren't tagging me, they were tagging the community, like, and they feel like they're a part of it. So it's kind of like people, when you identify as like you do a Peloton workout or whatever kind of workouts you do, like people wear the shirts, like that kind of thing. So shifting to a brand made a big difference for us, and like creating shareable content too. So it's actually a goal of mine to post more on social media this year, but we've been sharing stuff that are like making our challenges have things that are shareable, like downloads or whatnot. So people want to take pictures of what they're doing and they tag us. And then we've grown like completely through referrals on social media that way. So I would say that was kind of the number one thing.
Okay, that's awesome. And that's so cool because it's so different from what Corey and Dr. Beth are doing. And so again, it just goes to not only like understanding what works for your clients, but also playing to your own strengths, right? So that's really great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, guys, so we technically have about 10 more minutes until we're done. So I'm going to actually just go straight into questions. I've been trying not to look, but I've been seeing a lot of really great conversations happening over here. So let's see. Okay. So Margaret asks, oh yeah, this is a great question actually. Margaret asks, I would like some guidance on what to charge a client or clients. Pricing is such a difficult one in any industry, especially probably in health, fitness, nutrition. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Do any of you guys want to raise your hand to answer that, or should I just pick someone? Okay, how about we start with, I don't know, Dr. Beth, do you want to go ahead and chime in? How did you kind of figure out your, like, what to charge? And also, Margaret, to let you know, we do have pricing calculators, so I'll be sure to make sure that you that we send that out as a part of this maybe wrap up. We do have a resource that is kind of like a guide for how to determine your pricing, and I think it comes with like a calculator or a formula at least, so I'll make sure that that's a resource for this. But yeah, Dr. Beth, why don't you talk a little bit about how you figured out your pricing with your clients, I guess. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh yeah, now we can. Yeah. You can hear you. Uh-oh. Okay, we lost her. Okay. Lauren, why don't you chime in about your pricing? We'll see if we get her back. Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you.
I mean, I have done a little bit of both with so I guess it was just looking out there and doing your research and comparing what you want to offer to other people that are doing something similar to what you want to do. When I did more of the one-on-one coaching, that's exactly what I did, is like look at people who were doing something similar, but I had my own spin on it. And I just kind of, and also factoring in the amount of time it would spend for me to go through people's intake forms and like putting plans together for them and whatnot. And then same thing with like our group program is kind of looking at the other options that are out there and like what people would pay for them.
Yeah, definitely. I think too, it's good to, you've talked about how you don't have time really for one-on-one, you have more of a group model. It's important when you're thinking about your pricing to determine how many hours do you want to work. And when you're working on your business, you have to remember, let's say like you want to work a 40-hour week. Not all 40 hours are obviously going to be with clients. Probably half, if not more than half of that is going to be managing your business, creating reels, showing up on email, crafting your messaging, marketing, all of these different things, blogs. There's so many things that are involved with running your business. So determine how many hours per week you are going to need for your business, and then how many hours per week you're going to actually have with clients. And then determine how much money, what is your money goal for the year? And then you can kind of work backwards from that depending upon how many hours per week that you want to work with clients. And then make sure you factor in taxes, make sure you factor in vacation time. That's a pretty good formula. And I think that we have that written down in this resource I'm speaking of, which we will find and dig up. And I'll also think of some ways this year that we can really make pricing more accessible for you guys and maybe have some conversations around this, because I know it can be difficult, especially when you're first starting out. And sometimes it's trial and error, because maybe you will start pitching and you have this service offering and it's not really landing. And so then maybe you adjust the pricing a bit, or again, like we talked about earlier, having those tiers is always a good strategy because you can meet people where they are financially as well. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's see, we have, what steps did you take to determine your niche? I love that question. Okay, Corey, why don't you answer that question? Yeah, how did you determine your niche?
That's I feel like I don't know. We don't have enough time. No, I think I took more into account what I was into and where I was at and where my life is currently, and I think I dove into that a little bit more because I feel like I know more about that myself and I can help other people based off of that. Since I do have a running background, and now since I have a nutrition background as well, and I am plant-based, it was easier for me to just kind of mold all those together because I knew about all of them. I'm not just finding something that's random. I'm not, I like to try to make it so that it's just one specific thing. This is what I'm going towards, and this is what I offer. And I think that that's, like you said before, like that's the most important thing. Is like I think that definitely having some knowledge and everything, and having some experience in all of these helped me narrow down everything and kind of like get it close. And I'm going to say maybe it was like a year and a half ago is when I actually really was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. So, I guess that's a short version of it. I mean, like there was a lot that happened behind the scenes before I got to the specific point. But yeah, I definitely think that it's really, it takes a little while to figure out exactly what you want to do and how you want to help someone. And taking that to the next step, how would you help someone who doesn't have this problem or has another problem? It's a lot of like bouncing around you really have to do, I think, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, especially Corey and Dr. Beth, I know you too, you have a very personal story. Like you were talking about earlier, you struggled with your own weight. And so in turn, you use that and utilize that to help others once you were able to kind of overcome the challenges that you were trying to work through. So that's something you can always ask yourself, I think, right? Is, do you have a personal story? A lot of our grads do. There's a reason you got this certification. It wasn't random. It doesn't mean you had to be diagnosed with something or you struggled with something specifically, but there probably is an intrinsic reason why you signed up for this certification and you wanted to become certified in fitness or health, nutrition. Try to really dig deep into that story and think about the why behind it, and you'll probably start to get a little bit clearer. And then there's another question here from Nada that says, is it okay to start with a wider niche in the beginning and get more specific later? When starting out, sometimes you don't know what you're good at or want to choose. I love this question. I'm gonna ask you guys, this is something I see a lot as well, because I get it. It can be difficult if you don't have that kind of defining story that you feel like, that you want to help, pre and postnatal mothers, et cetera, et cetera. It can be tough. I will say, based off of my experience with our grads, sometimes it does take just like throwing, what's the saying? Rice, eggs, I don't know, something on a wall and seeing what sticks. And sometimes just by taking action, a lot of our grads have gotten clear very quickly. So they'll have maybe one client that had a specific issue and they really loved working with that client. And then they'll do research and start to dive deep on, okay, are there other clients like this client? So let's say Lyme disease, for example. I know a grad that works specifically with clients with Lyme disease, and she didn't realize that she really wanted to blend the two until she worked with a client with Lyme disease, and it really helped alleviate a lot of her symptoms. And so that kind of gave her an idea of, oh my gosh, okay, how many more people are out there struggling with Lyme disease? Look at data, see how many people have been diagnosed with Lyme disease in the past year. Do you want to niche down even further into women? Do you feel like your message would resonate more with women? How many women in the United States? Go on social media, go on Reddit, go on, there's so many different places where you can listen and see what people are asking for. And you can kind of pick and, make decisions through that. And you'll get a clearer picture. But that's just, I guess, my answer based off of what I've seen with graduates that have had this question before. But I'm curious if any of you guys have anything to add to that in terms of I don't really feel like I have this defining story, or I feel like I want to help everybody. Anything you would want to add to that, or we can also just move on, because I know a lot of people have Instagram questions too. Okay, so Nada also said, trying to figure out if I should transform my current Instagram to my brand or create a whole new Instagram for my business. Anyone have any insight? I love this question. Okay, so currently Nada, yeah, you just have a personal Instagram, it sounds like. Do you want to create a whole new one for your business? Yeah, this is good. Does anybody want to answer this one? Dr. Beth, why don't you chime in? Go ahead.
Hopefully I won't get cut off this time. Sorry guys about the connection issues. Well, I would say that you can use a lot of times, like going, creating a whole separate page, just in my opinion, may not be fully necessary. I mean, I think that you can leverage the followers that you have now and start integrating your business into that, right? Because like at the end of the day, when you have a business, a brand, people will want to work with you because they know, like, and trust you, right? We've all heard that before, right? They have to get to know you. So I think you can leverage, your personal page, leverage that, and start talking more about your brand, right? Start talking more about your business. I don't necessarily think that you need to, kind of like shut your personal page down and start from the ground up. I mean, you can leverage that. That's my opinion, because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of the clients that I've gotten, they've come through and they've come because people got to know me, whether it's referrals or whether they saw me on social media, they resonated with something, that with my personal story. So I think you can leverage that. That's my opinion.
Okay, so I love this, because this is exactly how you have had the route that you have kind of gone with your personal story. And something to note is that just think about the context of what your strengths are, and also what the clients that you're going with. So for Dr. Beth, as an example, you have a very personal story of weight loss, and weight loss is a very personal situation. And so I would think that it's more important to probably try to connect on a personal level with your potential clients for something like a really high touch one-on-one weight loss program. Where I'm going with this is, on the flip side, we have Lauren, who's done it a bit differently. Her strengths were not so much wanting to be the face of her Instagram and her brand. So she said, I don't really want to do that. And she still built a successful brand on Instagram by kind of turning her business into a brand on a separate account. And it's less of her facing. So it can work both ways. But I think with fitness, and Lauren, I would love for you to chime in on this. I'm thinking that, like, for group fitness and virtual fitness, that model works pretty well. It's not as like intensely emotional, maybe. Someone that has a diagnosis of something, or is going through weight loss, to where they feel like maybe vulnerable and that they need to kind of know the person before they. Do you feel that that's maybe why it worked better for you to go towards a brand, or?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel like with the fitness side, like leading with fitness, going as more of a brand it just worked a lot better. Whenever I do one-on-one coaching with people, it's always come from my personal side and kind of like sharing my story. And I feel like my story kind of goes into both sides, because I had a history with like depression and anxiety and stuff like that. And in my fitness business, that became a big focus of like how our workouts are. Like, we're focusing on like positivity and doing it to make like feel better. So it can kind of transition into like both parts or whatever. But yeah, definitely more personal, I think, with like health coaching and fitness. And fitness is like more of a community type thing, at least for how it works for me.
Awesome. Okay, cool. That's really great insight. So guys, we are about time. We're actually past time. I'm sorry that we've gone over, but honestly, thank you all so much for joining to our grads. Thank you for taking the time today to share your expertise. To all of our guests that have joined, like, just look at these grads and know that like it is possible. Please don't give up. And sometimes it just takes that trial and error and being in the trenches and figuring things out and taking even a little bit of action each day if you can, to get to a point where you feel like you have a clear mission and idea of where you want to go. So I hope this was encouraging to all of our guests, and thank you all so much for joining. And we're also going to just continue to do stuff like this, so please just continue to follow us. And say hello to me on Instagram. I'm the face behind the gram, so I would love to connect with you all there. And again, Connor, Dr. Beth, Lauren, thank you all so much for joining us today. It was a really great chat. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye.